Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. This is my review for Buffalo, starring Zoey Deutch. In this movie, Zoey Deutch plays a woman named Peg, whose father died at a very young age, but left her family with a whole lot of debt. So she basically hustles her way to make as much money as possible and secure her future, but unfortunately some of her later methods of obtaining money gets her in trouble, so she ends up going to prison, becomes a felon, and just ends up with crippling debt. So she finds herself being, ironically, a debt collector, and then there's a rivalry between her and what is known as the debt collecting kingpin, played by Courtney. Well, I'll get back to that a little later. So this movie actually came out last weekend, the same weekend as Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a very limited release, and by limited I mean it's in select theaters and on demand. But I actually saw this movie a couple days before it came out and was supposed to review it earlier, but at the time I was preparing for a very important job interview. A couple job interviews, in fact, for a dream job that I've been pursuing. I didn't get it, but, you know, that's tough luck. Life goes on, maybe next time. So when I first saw this movie, I just thought it was okay. There was a lot about it that actually irritated me. There was some very over-the-top moments throughout. Sometimes it leaned over into pure fantasy just on how ridiculous this movie got in terms of very cartoonish sequences or just points of logic that just didn't seem to fit well. But that was when I first saw the movie. You could say that was a first impression. So I sat on the movie for a good week, a little more than a week, and there's actually a few select moments that I've grown to admire the more I've thought about this movie. One of them is Zoey Deutch, whose last name I finally know how to pronounce correctly. I hope. But anyway, she is really good in the movie. She gives a good performance, and I've always liked her. I think she's good in everything she's in, like Everybody Wants Some or Zombieland Double Tap. And while I say that she's good in the movie, her character started out as incredibly obnoxious. There are a lot of moments in this movie where her character was inconsistent, egotistical, thick-headed, and kind of unlikable, and I just thought throughout the movie, am I supposed to like this character? Because it's not doing a very good job of convincing me otherwise. But I actually turned around to her character the more the movie went on, and the more I actually had time to think about it. Because you do appreciate this character for being as hard-headed as she is, and not willing to give up on her goals, even if it gets her in a lot of trouble. Which, hey, that parallels real life. Just because you have your goals set on something doesn't mean you're going to accomplish it easy or quickly. Real life is tough. Get used to it. You're not always going to get the ending that you so desperately want. So I like those moments. And again, she's very good. I also really like Judy Greer in this movie as her mother. I've always loved Judy Greer. And in this movie, if I were to describe her character, just imagine a more toned down, less vulgar, yet somehow more white trash version of her character in Archer. Cheryl, Carol, Crystal, or Shirley Tunt, whatever her name is at the moment. I haven't watched Archer in a couple of years, but that's pretty much Judy Greer in this movie, and she made me laugh. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of moments in this movie that didn't really hit well for me. One of them is Courtney, and I know it's popular to hate on Courtney because he's not very a good actor. That's not why I dislike Courtney in this movie, because this is actually one of the very rare movies where he has some charisma, but the problem is he has a little too much charisma to the point where he is a straight-up cartoon villain. He's obnoxious, his character is a complete asshole, and I get that's the point of the character, that you're supposed to hate this guy. And while a lot of the other characters in this movie have their over-the-top moments, none of them even go to the cartoonish level that Courtney goes to. And also the points in this movie where it delves into becoming a fantasy is the whole rivalry between debt collectors, as if this was the mafia. I don't know that much about debt collecting to really have a say in this scenario, but I'm pretty sure debt collecting doesn't play out like the mafia, where you're gonna trash someone else's office or vandalize stuff. I'm pretty sure debt collecting is a profession that does not function the same way as the mafia, and that just felt a little too over the top. It felt too much for me in this movie. But in the end, this movie went from something that I wasn't too fond of to simply being okay. It has its funny moments throughout here. There's one moment in particular that actually made me laugh pretty hard, and it has some heartfelt scenes as well. However, there are just as many moments in this movie that are either too corny, too cringeworthy, or just don't work altogether. So I'd say watch your own risk. This is not something you have to rush out to see or go out of your way to see it, considering that it's such a small release and this review's actually coming out a week late. But if you like the cast, if you read up on this movie or saw the trailer and you're interested in seeing it, then it's on demand, or if it's at a nearby theater in your area, then I would recommend checking it out if you want to. But if you're not, then I really don't give this a strong recommendation. Again, it's not a bad movie, it's just an okay movie in the end. And there you go, that's my review for Buffaloed, and now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, leave a comment, support my Patreon page, follow me on social media. And until then, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.